I'm saying whoever wants to take it, take it. But
Paula is not the mom of the city.
you haven't done it ever. Yeah. Mike helps. Shane has help. It must have been a long time ago. I don't remember. But I don't mind doing it, but I think we all need to do it. You're welcome to recruit Scott Jervis. Thank you in advance. I appreciate
I get it. Oh, we got, look at this. We got the whole deal going on here.
Thank you, Shane.
All right, we're a couple minutes late. Appreciate everyone's patience and welcome. This is the city of Cottonwood Heights. It's Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. This is the business meeting for our city. I'd like to excuse Councilmember Doug Peterson, who's traveling actually out of the country tonight and is not with us. I also want to recognize Councilmember Ann Granado from Salt Lake County. Welcome, Ann. It's your county representative, and been very impressive. She comes to meetings regularly, and we appreciate that a lot. You know, that was your commitment when you were in. All right. Also, we're honored tonight to have the St. Thomas More Scout Troop, who is going to do a flag ceremony for us. So Flynn Johnson's going to introduce that. So we'll turn it over to you guys. Go ahead.
Attention, will the audience please rise? Color guard, advance. Hand salute. Please say with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, post the colors. Color guard dismissed.
All right, thank you very much, Scouts. As a mayor, I have the privilege of speaking to numerous Scout groups around our city, and this group, I was able to speak with them at the St. Thomas More Church a few months back, and it was an honor to meet with them, ask a lot of good questions, so appreciate their willingness to be with us tonight. Following the agenda, I don't have any comment cards that have been handed in to me at this time, but if you would like to come up and speak to us, please come up, someone. Ann?
I'll take just a minute. You guys are awesome, and we love to follow all the hard work you do. We were alerted on Saturday by Tally, thank you very much, at a great luncheon, that your working group was considering supporting the ERA. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to represent myself and Shireen Gorbani and just make a couple of statements. Equal Rights Amendment provides a fundamental legal remedy against sex discrimination for all people. It guarantees that the rights affirmed in the Constitution are held equal to all citizens. Equality can only be achieved by raising women's legal rights at the same level and constitutional protection as women's rights. Without the ERA, the statutes and case law that have produced major advances in women's rights over the last half century are vulnerable to being ignored. Generations of women have fought for these advances. The idea of leaving them unprotected and vulnerable is not acceptable. Thank you. I have a lovely daughter. I have 3 spunky granddaughters, and we owe it to our daughters and granddaughters to ensure that they will not have to refight this battle again and again. I'd like to express my appreciation to the recorder's office at the county. Rochelle and Leslie have done an awesome job of studying the gender parity in their department and making some significant changes that brought them up to a standard where all of their employees are recognized for the job that they do. And the county is undertaking that in a general direction. We've got a great new HR leader. She is very proactive in this area, and we look forward to a lot of good work. And we thank you for your recognition of this.
Thank you, Ann, for council member. Appreciate that very much. Someone else would like to come up and speak? Yeah. Ann, again.
Hi, I'm Ann Ziegler with the League of Women Voters, and as you have seen me before, to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the League of Women Voters, I'm here tonight to ask for your support for the Equal Rights Amendment. As you may know, we are not only a local and state organization, but a national as well. The League has a policy that we only take a stand on a subject we have studied. That means the study consists of pros and cons of subject and background information. Members discuss the subject and answer consensus questions. From those answers and comments, a position is written up, and that enables us to lobby at the state and national legislatures and in our local communities as appropriate. The Equal Rights Amendment is one we have studied and now have a position that we hope you will support. I would like to read that position of the League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters of the United States supports equal rights for all, regardless of sex. The League supports action to bring laws into compliance with the Equal Rights Amendment. A, to eliminate or amend those laws that have the effect of discriminating on the basis of sex. B, to promote laws that support the goals of the Equal Rights Amendment. And C, to strengthen the enforcement of such existing laws. The League of Women Voters of the United States supports equal rights for all under state and federal law. The League supports legislation to equalize the legal rights, obligations, and benefits available to same-gender couples with those available to heterosexual couples. The League of Women Voters United States supports legislation to permit same-gender couples to marry under civil law. The League believes that the civil status of marriage is already clearly distinguished from the religious institution of marriage, and that religious rights will be preserved. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Ann. Someone else would like to come up and speak? Yeah, come on up.
Hello, my name is Charlotte Maloney, and I'm with the Utah ERA Coalition. And I'm here to speak about the ERA as well. The ERA has some real legal protections that people have already spoken about, but I want to speak to the message that it will send to society. You know, as a young adult in my 20s, I was in Pennsylvania in a gift shop. It was a United States government gift shop, and there was a rack with baseball hats that said "Future President." And on the top of the rack, it said, "Boys baseball hats." And it struck me at the time in my 20s, the message that was being sent, not just to me, but to younger girls, of what things may be off limit to us, from playing baseball to running for offices. And so I think that, ratifying the ERA, of course, the legal protections are the most important, but I think sending the message that boys and girls can do anything, and I think it would be just fabulous for Cottonwood Heights to send that message to your residents that anything is attainable for anybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else who would like to speak to the city council? Come on up. You have the same sash on.
I do. We have the same sash. My name is Kelly Whited-Jones, and I'm a North Salt Lake City resident. But I'm here tonight to also speak. I also am with the Utah ERA Coalition, and we are working with 30 to 40 different groups, League of Women Voters being one, but bipartisan groups that have come together on this important issue. And so they asked me to come and speak a little bit today, and I'm happy to do that. Let me just tell you a little bit about my day. So I started out, I'm a teacher, I teach at Salt Lake Community College, and I drove to work to teach a class, and no power this morning. So it was one of those really full working days, right? And then after class, I headed up to the Capitol, where I have a chance to do some more education and talk to people up there on the Hill about the Equal Rights Amendment, the 28th Amendment to our Constitution. And then I went home and ordered a corsage and a boutonniere because both of my son and my daughter are going to Sweethearts on Saturday. And and then as I was heading out, my daughter said, "Got ready for this." And as I was heading out, my daughter said, "Have you made the alterations on my dress yet?" And I said, "Not yet, but I will." And then as I left, she said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going out to fight for your equal rights." And she rolled her eyes because she's 16. And I don't know if she gets it. I don't know if she understands. But I am here to fight for her equal rights. And sorry, I was on the Hill today to fight for her equal rights. In the last few years, we've seen some of the hard-fought rights that women have earned be walked back, defunded, and watered down. For example, the Violence Against Women Act has been defunded this year by this Congress. And so I am watching as my daughter may have fewer rights than I currently enjoy, and something that really does concern me and has gotten me involved and made it so that I cannot sit back, that I have to stand up and I have to speak out on this important issue. The tangible benefit of the Equal Rights Amendment is that my daughter, when she has, for example, if she had an equal pay dispute, she could go to court and she would only need to prove with the Equal Rights Amendment that she had been discriminated against based on her sex. Right now, she would have to also prove that there was an intent to discriminate. So intent as a legal standard is a very high bar to reach. And so women who have made it to that point, which is very difficult to actually make it to court, often lose. And with the Equal Rights Amendment, the difference for her is that she goes to court and only has to prove that she was discriminated against based on her sex. And what that means for women is that women will win more of those cases and have greater justice, a greater chance at justice. So I've had people up on the Hill say to me, "Does that mean, is this a litigation bill?" And I tell them, absolutely not. I mean, it absolutely will help women in the courts, but the way that we move our country forward is by raising that standard of respect. And that's what this amendment offers. It offers that protection so that our daughters and our sons are greater protected with their constitutional rights. So we have amazing laws in place, then we need them. We need those laws. But we need this constitutional backing behind them to ensure that they cannot be taken away and walked back. So I am here today. I should be home working on her dress. We'll get it done.
It's still early.
There's still time.
Yeah,
We've
still
got till
time.
Saturday. But I want you to know why I'm here. I'm here for my daughter and I'm here for my son because they both stand to benefit from this important amendment. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else who'd like to speak to the council? A couple young men who want to speak?
I think they have something.
Uh-oh.
Your name?
My name is Will Johnson. My name is Grant Burnham.
May they approach?
Approach? Yeah, I'm not a judge, or I'd say approach the bench, but come on up. Oh, well, thank you very much. Chocolates and cards. Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed meeting with your group. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was so nice. It's one of the perks of being mayor, I guess. Appreciate that. Normally, I don't respond to comments during public comments because it gets in long dialogue, but I do want to quickly give a little bit of update on the ERA question. As a council, a few weeks ago, we have a retreat and we go through and set all of our priorities and action items we want to consider, and ERA is one thing we said we want to take a look at. So in a work session prior to this meeting, we just were educated on some of the issues surrounding the ERA and gave administrative direction to put some language together that the council can look at as far as a resolution. So we're in that process right now. So that's where we are, and we appreciate the comments tonight from everyone on that subject. Okay? All right, thank you. We have a couple action items, so we'll close citizen comment time. The first item is consideration of Ordinance 339A, approving the rezone of 3/4 of an acre of real property on Bengal Boulevard from R18 to neighborhood commercial. Mike, you want to introduce that quickly?
Thank you, Mayor. We discussed this in detail a couple of weeks ago and a little bit at the work session prior to this, so I'll be brief. This is a request at the property at 2540 East Bengal Boulevard, just up the street here. It's an existing commercial or office site development. It's a kind of a multi-tenant small office or retail building right now. It has been that way since prior to incorporation. It was a neighborhood commercial zoning prior to city incorporation, and through our research of this this request, we determined that even in the earlier days of the city, there was a neighborhood commercial zoning designation. In about 2009, that designation switched, although there's no city council record of any decision being made to switch that zoning. So we're not quite sure what happened, but since 2009, we've administered this as an R18, essentially a non-conforming property, which makes it problematic to issue business licenses in a building that was clearly built for commercial purposes. The general plan land use map shows a projected land use designation here of neighborhood commercial, so the zoning request would help comply better with the general plan than it does today. And kind of given that background, staff is recommending approval. The Planning Commission also recommended approval of this. However, the Planning Commission recommended limiting certain specific uses. Those included tattoo parlors, tobacco and vape shops, marijuana pharmacies, CBD shops, private clubs, bars, and check cashing payday loan businesses. In our analysis of this, after that Planning Commission recommendation, we found that with the exception of CBD shops, all of these uses are currently regulated either by city ordinance or state ordinance and would be prohibited or restricted in some form by existing codes. As discussed in the work session, state code could always change, and we feel that at that time we'd be made aware of that and would analyze the impact of that change on this property, but also on other properties citywide. And we feel that sales of CBD and CBD-related products are not regulated. They're not a regulated product in the state. So that's essentially just sale of a retail product, and we don't feel it appropriate to regulate sales of specific retail products and not others. I don't feel that's our role. Because of these findings and this additional research, Staff is recommending approval of this rezone without these additional restrictions added. Any questions?
Any questions from the council? Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion of adoption of Ordinance 339-A.
I move that we adopt Ordinance 339-A.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bruce. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Michael. Any further discussion?
No, I would comment that I voiced my concerns in the work session and other places. I appreciated the Planning Commission's work and their, I believe it was unanimous recommendation to put some of those conditions on. I agreed with most of those. This zone needs to happen for the owners. It's something weird happened back 8 or 9 or 10 years ago. I don't know what it was because it was never zoned R18 from the get-go. My hesitation, I would say that I was supportive of the Planning Commission, but I also understand that I am in the minority on that particular one in this case. So I would hope that we will get this passed, but for future reference, I hope some of the more concerning items on that list that the Planning Commission had concerns with don't show up.
No.
In the distant future.
Good point. And
Maybe I'll be gone by then.
no, you got 4 more years.
I meant like 6 feet under.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and Mike Johnson, you might reference that, the point where if the state changes its governance of these, we would have time to probably adjust with respect to those restrictions.
Changes that would affect those types of land uses would be a statewide issue for local governments and you know, the League of Cities and Towns and the local planning groups, and something that would be looked at very carefully at that point.
And I would just say thank you, staff, for catching that. CBD products, we would no more ban CBD products than we would essential oils. So good catch by staff.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Bruce and seconded by Councilor Michael. I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Michael.
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce.
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Okay, therefore, ordinance 33-9-D, now there will be a moot point. The next item of business is Resolution 2020-03, approving interlocal agreement with our good friend Salt Lake County for corridor preservation funding. This is funding that's been previously approved, and this is just finalizing that relationships and kind of a reimbursement. Any further questions on that resolution?
Wholeheartedly that we adopt Resolution 2020-03 and get the money back that we spent.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Bruce. Do we have a second?
You mean Bracken?
That's what I meant. It has a B.
Bruce
so.
will second.
Well, Bruce was the second. Bracken was the move. Any further discussion?
Both Bs.
Well, I get one faux pas a night.
I suspect people mess up Peterson and Peterson.
Yes, somebody spells it right and somebody spells it wrong. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Michael.
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce.
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Okay, that leaves one last item for business. That is the consent calendar approving meeting minutes for December 3rd, 2019 and January 21st, 2020, and approval of legislative breakfast meeting minutes January 7th. Can I have a motion of approval?
Move that we approve the consent calendar.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bruce. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Michael. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Well, a motion to adjourn. Anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Move that we adjourn.
It's Been moved by Councilmember Brackman, adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. That's quick